It's Andy Campbell! It's in! Campbell comes off the bench to be a hero! A superhero! Breakthrough! It's taken a while, but it's been worth the wait for Cardiff City.
Hey guys, and welcome to episode number 19 of the Andy Campbell Championship Show, only on ACEcast Nation. Christmas is almost here. My son is 15 tomorrow. Happy birthday to him. I'm very proud of him. ADHD, and since he got diagnosed, he's gone from being in trouble to top sets, top half of those sets. So good for him. Happy birthday. He'll be happy. Got a mention. That's it. That's all you're getting. No presents. That's it. That was your present. And anyway, I'm your host, Si, and I'm joined by ex-Premier League Championship striker, Cardiff City legend, Mr. Andy Campbell. And as we usually, we'll start with any of the business. Then we'll have four today, main featured games from the weekend's rounds of matches. And we will focus in detail on those games before we talk about all the other games. Then we'll give our 2 for 2, where we select two players or teams who had a nightmare or a blinder. Andy will answer your questions, and then we'll finish off with the best segment in radio, podcast, or TV. It's the fake Geordie bingo lingo, where Andy will teach me something about his northern culture, whether it be slang or a well-known phrase or a place. It's just an education. So,
always learning,
always,
Si.
Got to. But since it's Christmas, we're doing something special here at ACEcast Nation. So starting from today, which is Monday when we're recording this, is the 10 days of ACEcast. So for the next 10 days, we'll be releasing a brand new show every single day, starting today, which is the Danny Batten MMA show, where we're talking about UFC 245. And then there'll be a new show every single day. The Andy Campbell show will be the Wednesday, and then next week we'll be releasing it on Tuesday, which is Christmas Eve. And there's lots and lots of fun shows in there, whether it's I got a Bellator fighter, a UFC fighter, former BBC and ITV journalist. All sorts of fun shows come in. All you need to do is subscribe to youtube.com, click the bell, and you'll be notified every time we upload a show. And you can also find the audio versions of all the shows at the usual places. So let's get into the show. Joining me to talk about all these subjects and more, plus provide his expert insight and analysis, it's the one and only, the goal collector, the ginger prince of the north, Davy Jones's favourite son, Mr. Andy Campbell. Welcome, buddy.
Hello, mate. Yeah, that made me chuckle. I like that.
I know you like the goal collector, but David Jones's favourite son.
Probably second favourite son. You know what I mean? I'm probably not that high in his list.
Yeah, he always preferred Ernie and other people.
Yeah, he probably preferred his bin man than me. Yeah.
Poor old Dave. But it is what it is, I suppose. Can't get on with everyone.
Yeah, of course. But like that's the spice of life, isn't it?
That's it.
Spice of life.
So, as I've talked about the 10 days of ACEcast and YouTube, etc., and all the audio, and I kind of did those plugs. We'll just have a little thing from the sponsor, and then we'll get into it. Talk some footy. So today's show is brought to you by Away Day Apparel. Away Day Apparel is a group of casually obsessed football fans looking to bring something different to the wardrobes of like-minded people. With football, music, weekend carnage high on the agenda, they aim to bring you some exclusive products. They're edgy, controversial, but most importantly current, from t-shirts, polos, shorts to hoodies, jackets, accessories. Stick with them, and they aim to bring you terrace wear that will turn heads and provide that cutting-edge look we all crave. It's a bit of an Away Day Apparel fest today. Andy's modelling the sky blue t-shirt. I've got the olive green, and we even got a little banner by there. So there we go.
Just
need to get one on your side, don't we? Just like a big one.
Yeah, a tattoo.
Yeah, can't fault them. Can't fault Alan. Can't fault 280 Apparel. Good stuff. And I'm quite excited to see some of their stuff coming in 2020 because I've had a little peek and it's lush, gotta say. So I'm very excited. And they've been big supporters of the show and the channel indeed. So shout out to them.
Yeah.
Hashtag not hooligans.
Very much so. Don't believe what you read on social media.
Yeah. That's all I got to say about that. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry, I'm very tired. So, any other business, Andy? What we got, mate?
I'm going to start with the Old Firm because I was very interested in watching the game yesterday. Actually, yesterday lunchtime, so it kept me busy before the Premier League football started the weekend, and it just got me thinking about the size of the Rangers, the size of Celtic, obviously a similar size football clubs, but the possibility of getting them into English football, and where would they start? Would they come into the Championship with the likes of Middlesbrough, Cardiff City, Sheffield Wednesday, etc.? Because obviously they're massive football clubs, and I just thought to myself, you know, it would ruin Scottish football. You know what I mean? It would absolutely ruin it. You know what I mean? So you're leaving behind a sinking ship, and it would ruin so many hearts and so many. That wasn't a pun, by the way. So many football fans, and it was just ruin it. It would ruin the nation and ruin the football. So you know what I mean? People would probably love it because it would make the English football bigger. It would make the Championship huge with seeing the travelling hordes of fans. You know what I mean? It would be amazing to see. You know what I mean? But I think when you hear pundits talking about it, I just don't think it's a non-starter. I just don't think it could ever happen. And you know, it's a shame for the players, but that's the reason why Scottish players come north of the border to play. You know, the likes of the Andy Robertsons, who's excelling at Liverpool. You know, we've had Charlie Adams of the past. We've had so many good players come from Scotland, but it just
didn't mention the greatest fullback of all time. Then I can't believe it.
Super Kev.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was saving that because I thought you might have mentioned him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he obviously played for Aberdeen and then came north of the border and made a good living for himself and made a name for himself before, obviously going back up to his roots and going back. I'm sure he lives there now. So big shout to Kev, by the way, because top lad, top player. But
I'm not giving him a shout out until he returns my messages and comes on the show.
Kev, get in touch.
Get it. I
Get
got
in touch.
Gavin Ray texted him and you're texting him.
Yeah.
He said yes. And
Fighting the battle.
I want some of his art as well, I've got to say.
Yeah, he's very talented. Mate. Very talented, yeah. Very talented. But then gets me moving on to my next part.
Hang on. I just want to say, sorry, mate, to interrupt you. Before you just say about that, the first thing I would say is, I think Rangers and Celtic, people think that they would just come into the Championship and walk it, get promoted, and I think they'd be very surprised. I think, for instance, the way Leeds played in the first half against Cardiff on Saturday, they would have spanked Celtic and Rangers.
Oh, Rangers, yeah. On what I saw yesterday, the Rangers played Motherwell yesterday, didn't they? Motherwell's performance, Motherwell, for long periods of that game, just coasted through the game. They didn't need to be spectacular. You know what I mean? Rangers didn't really create loads of chances. All right, the goalkeeper had a decent game, but yeah, that's by the by. But they certainly wouldn't pull up the trees, and they wouldn't be as strong as the West Broms of this world. You know what I mean?
No.
They've got Premier League players and lads who won the Premier League in their squad and who played for the country. So it would be a big ask, but it's just pundits beating that drum. It's media beating the drum, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
but then
go on. Sorry.
Go on, carry on.
I was going to say, in my opinion, it'd be a mistake. I think the negatives far outweigh the positives. You know, there is some positives to it, like the away days for fans and stuff. They'd be awesome. They would be great. Yeah. And, you know, you would get to see Celtic and Rangers every week playing in English football or British football, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, there is that positives. But then the negative side of it is it would destroy, you know, Scottish football from a league point of view. They would lose all their Sky money. They wouldn't get the TV, you know, they get a TV deal like I know, on like Challenge TV or something. Like, it would be that bad. Do you know what I mean?
It'd be David Hay. David Hay'd sponsor it and put it on Dave. It would be horrific. It'd be horrific. But things aside, when was the last game you watched on Sky which didn't have Celtic or Rangers in it?
I don't even watch them anymore, really.
I mean,
I
don't think it was
watched
ever a game.
one earlier in the season. I think it was the first. It might not have been this season. It was the first time Gerrard was like had gone there as manager to play Celtic.
Yeah.
And that was the only one I've watched. I find Scottish football, and I apologise to any Scottish viewers. I just find it really difficult to get into. I find the standard is not great, and I just do struggle with it a bit. And I'm not saying by any means that Cardiff are amazing or the Championship's amazing, but the Championship's exciting. The Scottish League isn't, unless it's Celtic, Rangers, and then you've got like one or two other teams who will give them a game. The rest of the time it's like pretty much 3-4 nils or at least performances which would indicate that score.
Yeah.
And I find it difficult, particularly obviously it's been a little bit better in terms of how close the games are, where Rangers have come in back up. They've had to come back up through the leagues, so then they're not quite the force that they were previously. But I think we're all assuming that at some point over the next few years, Rangers will be back to where they were. And when they are, it's just going to be that same thing every year, isn't it? It's going to be Rangers, Celtic, Rangers, Celtic. And I don't know if that, you take those two teams out. All right, yeah, it gives the other teams the chance to win the league. But the problem is the prize money will be so small because the TV deal will be gone. No, I don't want to say what's the point, because that's disrespectful to the other teams and the players of those teams. But from a financial point of view now, and then you take Celtic and Rangers out of it, I can't imagine that it's going to be pretty, should we say.
No, totally agree. But then it puts me on my next point, and it was an incident what happened in the game, and it was Morelos scored his second goal. Decent finish. I thought he was an excellent footballer, by the way. I thought he's everything you want from your centre forward. He's like a bull. He gets hold of it. He's strong. He's physical. He's quick. He's got an eye for goal. He's scored 30+ goals already this season. And then he celebrates his goal, which he's got every right to do, in front of the Motherwell supporters who were giving him stick most of the afternoon. And he gets his second yellow card for it, which I just find absolutely disgusting and absurd and just pathetic that a referee could just ruin a footballer's afternoon because in his terms, he's over-celebrated a goal. How can you over-celebrate a goal? We've got the problem in the Premier League where you can't celebrate a goal because VAR is killing it, and now we're ruining another league's football and enjoyment by stopping players celebrating goals in case supporters get a little bit upset and a little bit angry. Because I guarantee you, if Motherwell had scored that goal in the 87th minute and won that game against Rangers, the players would have celebrated like they won the World Cup. So
they'd have been in the crowd, they'd have been all over the place. And what I particularly didn't like about it was, all right, if he'd gone up to the Celtic fans and done like a Gaza, where Gaza was making those gestures to them, or he'd gone it like right up to them, being really aggressive and swearing or inciting them, all right, I can kind of see that's a booking. But what he did was quite subtle. It was basically saying, "You've been abusing me all night, all afternoon. I scored a goal.
Have that."
Yeah, and just sort of flicked his shoulder, and I think it's pathetic. And what I don't like about it is, do we want to have football matches where the goals go in and the players just walk back to the centre circle? Because I tell you something, if that becomes the norm, where players are almost protesting it, your fans will just dwindle over the years. Like, it won't be an instant thing. But if you can't celebrate a goal, what's the point in playing?
No, it's going to be boring side. It's going to be
what it's about.
It's good. It's you go to a game looking forward to celebrating a goal. You know what I mean? If you're not allowed to do it, what's next? Supporters can't celebrate. It's just it's kid stuff. It's embarrassing because all the goals in the Championship this weekend, all of those players were passionate. They celebrated. You know what I mean? The Cardiff fans celebrated. The Cardiff players celebrated. Swansea players celebrated. Barnsley. Do you know what I mean? In front of supporters. So.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you then. I just thought of, as you just said, what was like the most weirdest, or what like a planned celebration or something like that, which you ever done?
I don't think I ever planned a celebration. I think
That's shocking.
Yeah, I know. I know. Well,
Didn't score enough.
mine were probably just off the cuff, because the buzz of scoring a goal. I think sometimes things just went out the window, that in just pure emotion. That you know what I mean. I think sometimes I planned to go to an area to celebrate, but then all of a sudden celebrated in a different area, and somewhere else, in front of different people. So it was just, you know what I mean. The funniest celebrations, obviously, the one at Oldham where some nice gentleman threw a pie at me, and it was a great shot. So
it's impressive, isn't it? Well, where was it? Huddersfield.
Oldham away.
Oldham
away. Boundary Park.
Quite close to the pitch as well, and at Boundary Park.
And to be fair, I got a yellow card because I went really close, but it was my momentum, because I was running that speed and I couldn't stop myself, and I ended up on the hoarding, and I stepped back, and as I stepped back, I got a.
Well, that's how all this booking of players celebrating goals began, wouldn't it? It started off where you couldn't go over the hoardings, and then it was you couldn't hug the crowd, or the other way around. And they've kind of built it up. And I got a real problem with the Rangers player being booked, because it's just common sense, isn't it? Like, it wasn't offensive, it wasn't aggressive. He's already been booked, so it's like the ref just wants to be the centre of attention. He just wants to send someone off from Rangers almost, and obviously he's their best player. He just wants to kind of. What a player, by the way.
That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. But you know,
unfortunately, there's a few refs like that, isn't there, who seem to be Clattenburg-esque in the way they conduct themselves.
Want to make a name for themselves, and I think so. I think the problem Morella, someone like he's got, is he causes his own problems. He winds people up. He winds supporters up. But it's like the comedy villain, so to speak, of the football. You know what I mean? We've had it in the past. Gaza, Vinnie Jones, all these kind of players, and you take them away. Yeah. If Scottish football lost a player like Morales, it would be brutal for Rangers. It's brutal for Scottish football, because you want the best players they can. You don't want them seeing them getting sold to Spain, Italy, France, Holland, England. You don't want it. You don't. Well, British football. You don't know who happened.
Cardiff,
you know what I mean? But not too right. They would. I think every single Championship team, stroke Premier League team, will have him in their team.
Yeah, and you know what? Look, with all those players you just named, like your Gazas, your Vinnie Joneses, your Robbie Savages, people like that who irritate the other team and they irritate the opposing fans. Their characters, and you want them playing because you want to give them a bit of stick and you want to see them slip over or whatever. But also, if they overstep the mark, then fine. You know, book them, send them off, whatever it may be. Whether it's a bad tackle or aggressive or a goal celebration which is over the top, or in front of the away fans, where it's instigating the opposing fans. That's fine, but this wasn't that at all. And that's, I think, the problem, isn't it? There's a difference, I think. Whereas if he'd gone like face to face with the first row of the Motherwell fans and been like screaming and being really aggressive and giving it like sticking his fingers up, and that's a problem then, isn't it? But
I totally agree.
It wasn't a problem.
I just celebrated a goal, and passionate. It was a big goal as well. It was a game that won. It was a goal that won the game. It was a big goal in a big game, and it put Rangers top of the league. So I don't see a problem in it.
Well, controversial, mate. At the moment, the way I feel, I want Cardiff to get to the playoff final and lose, because I don't want them to go to the Premier League, because I don't want VAR. I think it's going to take, and obviously I say that a bit tongue in cheek. Like, obviously, I'd never want them to lose, but I just don't want to. I just feel like it's killing the game. But also, I said I wasn't going to talk about VAR, but we had it again yesterday, didn't you?
It was interesting. I think it was through the week, and it was Chris Wilder again. And this was after a victory and after a decision which went for him. You know what I mean? So he's had quite a few. Sheffield United have had a few which have gone against them. This one went for them against Norwich, and he's still saying the same things. He still can't. I can't celebrate a goal because in case it gets chalked off, I don't know if we're coming or going. Sendings off getting overturned, penalties getting overturned. It's just it's just it's sapping the life out of football. And
Do you know what I say?
you know
I
what I
should
mean?
bin
It's
it. They should
yeah,
just bin it now.
yeah.
Keep goal line technology.
Mm.
And I think, do you know what I think they should have? Is the ability to, just like a replay ability, not have VAR and like reviews and stuff like that. I just think they should have the referee, if something happens, like an elbow or a bad challenge, and the referee's not quite sure how bad it is, he can go to the fourth official and say, look, I think this was quite bad. Can you have a look for me?
Yeah.
And then if they can either say, oh, no, there's nothing in it, or they can say yellow card, or they can say, oh, maybe you should come and have a look. And then he goes to the screen. So it's not like a constant thing.
Yeah. But then you could just scrap it all together, and you could
Go
just
back
put things
to
in.
what we grew up with.
Yeah, you could put things in place with stricter consequences. That if you're cheating, for example, or it's, you know what I mean, that you hit players with dives, and you know what I mean, with bans and stuff, and you just make consequences even bigger. It's just football needs to go back to being fun again.
Indeed, we have fun, so that's the main thing.
Of course we do. Yeah.
We're
going to talk about loads of fun.
Oh yeah, Leeds fans are not going to like this. They look. Before we move on to the games, we'll finish on something which was what I found quite funny. I was kind of flicking through Twitter yesterday, and I came across this lady, and she had like really white blonde hair, the same colour hair as Boris Johnson, and you reminded me of it just now when you mentioned Millwall. So basically, she was like at the train station or walking up the street or something, and a load of Millwall fans who she said were drunk had come out of the football or on their way to the football, and they lifted her up onto their shoulders and was singing "There's only one Boris Johnson," and she put it out as like a really like outraged kind of tweet. And the thing which tickled me, like, you can't really be going around picking up ladies and stuff. You know, you don't know if she's got like any kind of injuries and stuff. You shouldn't really do it. So that wasn't necessarily what I found, like, what made me chuckle. What made me chuckle was the replies to the tweet, because they were either, oh, you don't even look like Boris Johnson. And it was just like really random stuff. And then there was about 1,000, 2,000 replies of people saying, just like basically saying, oh, you know, it's just football fans. They're not drunk. Millwall fans are okay. And they're just like loads of tongue-in-cheek replies and stuff. It was really, really funny.
Yeah.
Kind of. But then, are we losing our sense of humour, do you think? Like, are people just looking for stuff to be offended by all the time? Like, you know, they weren't, from what she described, so like using her words, because obviously we weren't there, I wasn't there. It doesn't seem like it was nasty or aggressive or anything like that. It was kind of, you know, tongue-in-cheek, messing about, having a bit of a laugh, bit of fun. And, you know, are we losing that, like, what made Britain good in that, like, just that sense of humour and being able to laugh at anything? And
I think if someone else's interpretation on side, isn't it? That if someone else had have had it done to them and they saw it as a little bit of fun and lightheartedness, then it's taken it. No, exactly. So it's just, sometimes it's the wrong person at the wrong time.
Yeah, and I agree. And I'm not in any way criticising the lady. I'm like really not. It just, it's something which obviously we see it all the time on social media, as people like, you know, offended by this or offended by that, or people. What I really don't like is like this kind of cancel culture, where if someone makes a joke which people don't like, it's like they should be sacked and lose their job, and everyone kind of goes after them. And, you know, and if you say something like a racist joke or something really offensive, like unacceptable, then, you know, that's your own fault, and you got to put up the consequences, because most employers are not going to put up with that. I'm on about like just general, just being able to laugh at yourself and being able to just have a laugh and joke and not have this fear of like people getting all kind of, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. But anyway, I went completely off topic, and it wasn't even a football topic. It just reminded me of it. But anyway, let's get back to it, because
live topic.
Yeah, I kind of miss, like 10 years ago, roundabout, not exactly 10 years ago to the day, but like just 10 years ago-ish. Like, I missed it when you could, like, you know, if you went to like a stand-up comic, Jimmy Carr, for instance, or Frankie Boyle or someone like this, their comedy is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people don't like it. My missus doesn't like Jimmy Carr. I do. I really like him and Frankie Boyle, although Frankie Boyle's not as good as he was. But what I like is that you knew that if you go into that show, you were going to hear some uncomfortable jokes, but you know that they're jokes. You know that Jimmy Carr doesn't really believe some of the stuff that he says, but it's just, it's a joke. And it's meant to be a joke. You're just relaxing and having a bit of, you know, fun or whatever. I kind of miss that, but, you know, it is what it is, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just getting old. Just like, back in the day, it was so much better. Old man Willis. So, what should we start with? So we've got 4 games to choose from, and I'm going to let you pick which of the 4 we start with. So we got Leeds, Cardiff, we got Preston, Luton, Swansea, Borough, and West Brom, and Birmingham.
West Brom, Birmingham. We'll start with that one because that one was the first game of the weekend. Well, it was the first game of those 4 anyway because it was a game Friday. But we'll start with that one. That was a Saturday morning.
Charlie Austin.
Saturday morning, early fixture. To be honest, watching the game, it was Birmingham started really strong. I was really impressed with the way that they started. It was interesting, this game, the amount of joy that both teams were getting from set pieces, which was quite alarming, really, that both teams could not defend a set piece. That's free kicks, corners, throw-ins, just long throw-ins in the box. And Birmingham played it really well. You know what I mean? That Harley Dean had a couple of chances before he got his goal in the second half. Jukovic obviously scored from a set piece in the first half, but could have had another chance. Long throws in the box. And for a Slaven Bilic team to defend like they did from set pieces was quite alarming and quite worrying, especially in a local derby, that they couldn't really cope with what was thrown at them. And Birmingham aren't a bullying side. They've got some nice footballers. I thought Jude Bellingham was outstanding. His set pieces were superb. His through ball for a couple of chances in the first half were excellent. He had the hand in both goals. The first one, obviously, a corner. The second one, a corner. The first one was a second phase for Jukovic's header. But I think West Brom were really lucky to come out of it unscathed. Dean Garner's goal, I've watched it about 5-6 times, and I'm still on the fence about if it's offside because it happened so quickly. I'm sure he is onside because the defender comes out really quickly, but it happens in a split second. It's so hard for a referee and a linesman to make that kind of judgment and cut that goal off if it is a goal. And but when you've got a player on the bench side like Charlie Austin, I said it midweek. He scored a goal against Wigan, and he came off straight away, and he scored 2 goals on Saturday lunchtime. That someone takes a risk on him. He's going to score goals, and why wasn't loads of teams knocking on that door to bring him into the team? Because he's just a natural born goal scorer, and if they get him firing on all cylinders, he's going to be hard to stop scoring goals.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with him is his fitness. Trying to keep him fit for long periods of time. He does seem to pick up a lot of niggles, and he's had a couple of bad injuries.
I think he's getting managed really well last side because he got brought off straight after the goal on Wednesday against Wigan. He was obviously sub on the weekend, so only came on about 20-25 minutes to go. So he's been used sparingly, but if that's very clever that he knows that they've got loads of games coming up, and obviously Robson Kanu started but came on Wednesday night. If he's swapping the 2 over, it's really good man management by Bilic. Yeah,
well, the thing is, for instance, with West Brom, when they've got Robson Kanu, they've got Austin, they got the other one, I can't remember his name. Diagana, is it? Jukovic, no. I can't remember what his name is. But they've got a selection of strikers, 3 or 4 really good strikers. So they're able to bring Charlie Austin in and out and give him a rest and keep him fit and wrap him in cotton wool almost, which is what they need to do, because if they do that, they'll get 20 goals out of him easy in a whole season.
Yeah.
Whereas if he played for Cardiff, for instance, or Borough, because they haven't got that wide selection of strikers, they would run him into the ground week in, week out, because they'd be desperate for his goals. So West Brom have been quite clever, but he's been, they can just manage it, like you say. they can just bring him in and out, and when he's done his job, bagged a couple of goals, get him off.
Yeah, totally agree.
You need to run him into the ground.
Yeah.
Not every player needs to play 90 minutes. I mean, look at
No.
that poor. Well, that's what I was going to bring up for any other business. I'll bring it up at the end. Was the Everton boy who got substituted after 10 minutes?
Subbed.
Felt really sorry for him. He's only young, but we'll talk about that right at the end. Remind me when we do the questions, and we'll go through that. Charlie Austin, superb. I got to say, you're right about the set pieces, because like Birmingham is basically a team of youngsters, isn't it? Bar one or two players.
Yeah.
They're not physically imposing or bullying teams.
No.
And they just looked like they would score every time they put the ball in the box from a throw or a set piece. I thought Jake Livermore, by the way, was outstanding.
Yeah.
I thought he had a really good game. But Bellingham for Birmingham was excellent. I just thought it was a really good game of football to watch. It was
a local derby. It had everything, to be fair. Had everything, and you felt it was one of those games that you didn't want it to end. You didn't want half time because obviously the goals came at the right time of the game, and then the second half started, and there was a goal straight away. And I think it helped. It helped Birmingham. It helped West Brom.
Who's the West Brom keeper, mate?
Johnson, on loan from Man United. He played at Villa last year. Played at Villa last year.
I thought he's looked really strong all season. He's a very good keeper, actually. Young keeper. He's not that young probably anymore, but he's good.
I think he's about 24, 25, and I watched him a lot last year when he was at Villa on loan, and I thought he was outstanding last year, and I thought he would have got an opportunity in the Premier League. But
I wonder whether he's one of these ones who's like a very, very good Championship keeper, but will he ever get the chance to show it in the Premier League? I just wonder. But I thought he looked a bit ropey on Saturday at only at certain points. Not like every time the ball came near him, but just I thought he had a couple of shaky moments, and I hadn't seen that from him before. But I wonder whether that's because the defence was looking ropey.
I agree with you, Si. I agree with you, but I think he looked shaky every time it was a set piece or a corner, because he knew what was coming. He knew that every ball wasn't a fight ball. Every time Jude Bellingham put the ball in the box, it was with quality. It's whipped in. And when you've got Harley Dean, you've got Jukovic, who attacked the ball so well like those two did on Saturday, you've always got a chance. And I think it's a hard thing to stop, because when you've got somebody who can whip a ball in with so much quality, it's hard to defend against.
Well, if I was any other team watching that, I'd be thinking, right, West Brom, that's what we need to do, is attack them from set pieces.
Put the ball into the box,
pressure.
Put it above the keeper and see what happens. I totally agree.
Because they've looked, up until this game, had looked pretty much invincible for the last few weeks. They really have looked that good. So to see Birmingham young team, I'm a big fan of Birmingham's team with all the youngsters playing, and to see them give them so much trouble was really good to see, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then next up we've got let's go with Preston and Luton.
Much needed for Preston. They haven't had great form coming into the games, really. But to be fair, Luton Town, they don't really travel very well. Obviously, they played Brentford a few weeks ago, took a hammering. They won last weekend at home against Wigan. But to be fair, I couldn't see anything but a Preston win. And to be fair, they got a penalty, which was a blatant penalty, by the way. I don't even know what the defender was thinking about, pulling the shirt, and then to say that he didn't do it, it's just beyond me. So trying to prove his innocence. 100% penalty. I do like the way that Gallagher does take his penalty. He runs away from the penalty spot, turns at pace, hits it. Decent save by the goalkeeper. Couldn't really push it anywhere, and the rebound was inevitable. It was going to go in. Callum McManaman, I thought, also was a blatant penalty. I thought the defender didn't have a clue where he was, and he just nipped in front of the defender and got nicked. And to be fair, you've got to be having awareness of where the centre forward is. And for me, another blatant penalty, and more controversy because Preston said it wasn't. The manager, Alex Neil, said it wasn't. But if you haven't got a clue where your centre forward is, if you nick in front, you've got every right to go down. And then I felt sorry for the Luton for the winning goal, because it was a little bit like pinball. The ball was all over. They put about 3 or 4 blocks in place, and then it fell to fell to the man just on the line, who took a touch, took another touch, composed himself and tapped it in. And then Luton didn't really have any more opportunities. But for Preston, for their point of view, it was much needed 3 points to get them back on track. And there's loads of games coming thick and fast. I think Luton can just take the positives out of the game, that they ran a good side very close, and try and aim for the home games to pick some points up.
Yeah, both teams, after a very good start to the season, haven't looked quite as good recently. But I thought Preston looked a bit better in this game. And Luton, like you said, there was plenty of positives to take from them, and I hope they can push on again then and have a little run after Christmas or over Christmas to get back to where they were, because they were involved in a lot of exciting games, at the start of the season. The same for Preston. How many weeks in a row were we saying, like, Preston just keep doing it and doing it? They just kept winning, and we were looking silly. But this is the last couple of weeks is the kind of performances that we had discussed and expected at the start of the season. I think their problem is they haven't got a massive squad.
No.
And they've got a few injuries, and then it's difficult then, isn't it, to keep that momentum going when you lose your big players for a week or two, or even just a game or two, because, that momentum could be halted in one game, can't it? If you lose, heavily, or you have a bad performance, that row or that run of games of winning can end quickly, and then it can turn to a not so good run quick enough as well.
I think the problem side teams have got in the playoffs at the minute are the distance between the top two and the playoffs now is just ridiculous, and you're in a catch-22 position, aren't you? Because you want to consolidate your playoff position, because you want to try and stay in there, but then you're looking above you, and the gap's it seems to be getting bigger the other way than it is. You're just not clawing anything back, because they're relentless at the top. Preston have lost a couple of games. They beat Fulham in the week, which was a great result, but we'll talk about Fulham soon when we talk about their game. But you know what I mean? You've just got to churn results over and stay in there as long as you can, because it's only 4 places, and the start of the season, like you just said, that the Preston have had, if they fall away for the rest of the season and don't get in the playoffs, it won't be a very good season because of the way that they've done it. So it's, you know what I mean, regardless of what we said at the start of the season about expecting them to struggle, they haven't struggled, and they've been up there all season. They haven't been outside the playoffs, so they can't afford for their season to be a success or very unsuccessful if they don't stay in the playoff places and they fall away from some bad results.
The thing is, they were so good for so long that if they don't get to at least the playoffs, you're right, it's a bad season, even though at the start of the season they probably would have taken a top 10 finish.
Yeah, totally agree.
We talked about this last week, and I think probably the week before, about you've got to have your targets, but you've also got to alter those targets as you're going through the season and adapt to the situation.
Yeah, they've got to be smart. They've got to be smart targets, and they've got to be achievable. And at the start of the season, were they achievable if they aim for the playoffs? Not in my eyes, but now, for me, if they don't finish in the top 6, they've underachieved. Yeah,
I completely agree. And the thing is, the league table don't lie.
No, I totally. It's the things on it. It's we go on about it, we laugh about it, we joke about it, and they deserve to be 3rd in the league for the way that they've played all season. But if they finish 10th in the league come May, they've underachieved, and the manager won't be happy, and he'll start to question the players. He'll start to question, is he good enough? Because that's just the way of the world.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. To quote my favourite phrase, it would be piss poor.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Because and like not having to go at Preston, what I'm saying is they were so good, and have been so good this season that they've set high expectations for themselves now.
And this also saying, I'll back ourselves up as well. If they finish 10th in the league, for example, in the season, it won't be "we told you so," because they'll have still surpassed how they're better than we thought.
I think we both said we thought they were going to go down. I think, didn't we?
I did. I thought that 100%. I thought they would be fighting relegation. You know what I mean? So they've massively overachieved, but they're there on merit. So they need to kick on now and go to another level. And it's the manager, the chairman, the football club to look at the window and think, can we sustain this? Can we go to the other level? Can we take a risk? Because the carrot at the end of it potentially is a Premier League, which becomes financially, it's a big risk, but it's a good risk to take. So it's something that they've got to look at.
In my opinion, for Preston to make the playoffs, I believe that they need to bring in some loan players or sign a couple of players. Not necessarily because their first 11 isn't good enough, but I believe that their squad isn't big enough.
Yeah.
And Cardiff, West Brom, Leeds, Derby, probably Fulham, they're going to spend money. Brentford are going to spend money. So if you want,
they're going to be shut out, and the teams are going to catch them if they're not careful.
well, I think I named 5 teams or 6 teams there, and that's the top 6. You know, if those 6 spend money, you've gotta. Even if they haven't got the money to spend, they have to be clever in the loan market. You know, there is young players available, or there's aging players available that they could just got to do a bit of wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, totally agree.
Next up, which I'm sure you're really looking forward to speaking about, is Swansea 3, Middlesbrough 1.
Yeah. Things aside, people think that we are anti-Swansea. We're certainly not. You know what I mean? We've been critical of them, excuse me, and rightly so, because they've bottled games in certain ways, especially away from home. But we've always said, when you hit Swansea on the worst day, and they play the Swansea way, and they pass you off the park, and they play that attacking football like I know they can do it. And on Saturday, unfortunately, at times against Middlesbrough, they passed the ball, they kept the ball, they frustrated Middlesbrough. And in the first half, they were such the better side, and took the lead through a penalty, which was another blatant penalty of the weekend. Good save by Pears. Delphi doesn't know where Ayew is, comes across behind him, brings him down, blatant penalty. You know what I mean? They've got no qualms about it. Swansea probably should have gone in 2 ahead at half-time, but missed a couple of gilt-edged chances. Second half, it gives Middlesbrough an opportunity. They're 1-0 behind. They've got confidence from a good point in Nottingham Forest through the week. Get themselves a very good equaliser through Tavernier. Great strike. Beat the keeper, the near post. Keeper might not be happy about it, but he was unsighted. And then the real fun begins. Marcus Brown, absolutely disgraceful tackle. The worst decision I've seen at 1-1. Lets his team down, his supporters down, his manager down, himself down. Let me down.
Changed the game, didn't it?
It's game changer. You can't be doing things like that. And then the second goal from Ayew again, and for me, I think it's a goalkeeper mistake. It's straight down the goalkeeper's throat. If he gets anything, if he's in the way of it, it hits him in the face, it hits him in his hands, it hits him in his chest. You know what I mean? For me, he dived out the way a little bit, and a couple of reactions from players.
He's been so good as well recently, hasn't he?
He's been outstanding, and it's a great hit, great strike. But for me, I think he's got to take a little bit of blame for that. The third goal, I thought was excellent. I thought they put the ball in the box. They wanted to win the first header, won the first header. They wanted to win the second ball, won the second ball. Great finish across Pears. He had no chance to win that. And then more fun again. Paddy McNair gives the ball away, gets frustrated, lashes out, throws an elbow, lets his team down. He's going to miss 3 games, like Brown's going to miss 3 games. And then the fun of the afternoon today is that Middlesbrough have appealed the red card, which I just do not get one little bit, because that, for me, that red card's going to turn into 4 games now. And for me, Paddy McNair has been Middlesbrough's standout player of the season. Apart from Randolph and apart from Pears, he's been absolutely outstanding, week in, week out, every time I've watched him. And now he's going to get an extra game ban, which he's going to miss some. He's going to miss Stoke City at home. He's going to miss West Brom game away. He's going to miss Huddersfield Town at home. And then he's going to miss another game next year. He can't afford to lose his best players for that length of period against those 3 games I've just mentioned. Side there, they're 3 games. They're 3 games, and they're 3 games against 3 massive sides, ex-Premier League sides, all of them. Middlesbrough could go. Listen, Middlesbrough could win them all. That's how stupid this league is. But at the same time, they could lose every one of them comfortably, and that'll be it. You know what I mean? They'll be in the bottom 3, and if they go in the bottom 3 after those 3 games, it's going to be a big ask to get out of that. Big ask, because the league's getting tougher. You know what I mean? Who's going to want to come in the January window? Will the manager still be there? It's there's too many questions getting asked now. You know what I mean? I've been on local radio this morning talking about what happened at the weekend. Yeah, I pull no punches. Like, just pull no punches there. Those 2 players have let that football club down. They've let the manager down. They've let the teammates down. They've let the travelling supporters who've spent all day travelling down to South Wales to watch a game in Swansea and travel all the way back. You know what I mean? It's not on. It's not fair. You know what I mean? It's cowardly at times, and that's just might sound harsh, but it's true and bang on.
It's what it is, but we pride ourselves on the show on being fair to all teams, even teams which we'll, don't want to see winning, if you like. Jonathan Woodgate's worried me a little bit over the last few weeks. At the start of the season, I was very much, when people were getting frustrated with him, I was saying, look, he's trying to change the way they're playing. He's trying to change everything about the club. You've got to give him time and you've got to let him do it, because otherwise it's pointless.
Yeah.
But some of the things he's coming out with, I just don't see it sometimes. And I wonder, I'm not an ex-professional footballer. I never played for Real Madrid, so I get all that. But I still watch a lot of football, and I just think, like, for instance, he said he felt that the Middlesbrough were gaining momentum in the game, and then the pendulum swung back in Swansea's direction. Now, to me, yes, the sendings off, the first sending offs has changed the game. It has, absolutely. But as you've just said, Swansea should have been at least 2 up at half time, and they probably could have had a couple more. Now, obviously I've only seen the extended highlights, so you're talking like 10 or I think 15 minutes.
Goals change games, Si. Goals change games. I get his point. So when they score, they've got the momentum, they've got the pendulum swung in their favour, and then for them to go down to 10 men, I get the point. But for long periods of that game, they were second best.
Yeah.
Second best, comfortably, against a well-drilled, well-organised side. They had 62% possession against 38. Swansea had 7 shots on target, and Middlesbrough 3. Things like this don't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? That they dominated the game. So they dominated the game. They deserve to win the game. It's that simple. It's not. I'm pro Jonathan Woodgate. I'm pro Middlesbrough. But sometimes when you come after a game, you sometimes a bigger man. We got beat by the better side.
Yeah.
Move on to the next. We've got some bigger games coming up. We have to go on. We have to concentrate on them now. That game's gone. Just move on. Don't be. There's no point looking back now. Look back at the red card. What's the point? The referee made his decision. If the FA decided to overturn the decision from any of those red cards, then that shows weakness in the officials. It shows weakness in the system. It also has to question the referee's integrity for the next game, which he can't referee in the championship again, for me. Because why would the FA, if there's any question, it's not like it's a 50-50 call. If the referee sent him off for an elbow for violent conduct, then he's seen it happen. So, and we've all seen the videos. I've seen the video. He raises his elbow. Regardless if there's contact or not, there's intent. If there's intent, it's a red card. So,
to me, they're both red cards, and I think it's a bit embarrassing to appeal them, to be honest. Like, the frustrating thing for me would be, if I was a Middlesbrough fan, is one, they're red cards. Most people agree that they're red cards.
Yeah.
And you also know that if you appeal it and the appeal gets turned down, you got an extra game or an extra 2 games. So, to me, you should only appeal if, one, it's your best player and you've got a massive game coming up which you cannot lose, and it's kind of a bit 50-50, and you think, well, it's worth a punt.
Well, years ago, the appeal system used to be that if you appealed, you could play in the next game until the appeal took place. So that's the only. They still do it in Scotland, and it's happened at Celtic.
So you can do it tactically.
Yes, you do it tactically. This isn't tactics for me. It's just naivety, bit of stupidity, in my opinion. Because I wouldn't appeal. I take it on the chin. I'd say to me, play. You let the team down. You might, if you haven't caught him and he's pulled a clever one, your elbows raised. You look like you've
put
done
yourself
it.
in that situation, don't you?
There's intent. If that happened on the other, if the shoe was on the other foot, Middlesbrough would have been screaming for a red card, like we all would have been. So,
yeah, and like we've said, all season, how good Paddy McNair's been and how much
he's been outstanding.
I think he has been their best player, and it's a big blow to lose him. I thought Swansea were very, very good. I really like Freddie Woodman in goal. I think he's a great keeper.
Yeah.
I just thought generally Swansea were very good. Andre Ayew in particular, I thought was.
He's outstanding.
He just
Middlesbrough couldn't handle him. Couldn't handle him. He had pace, he had power, trickery, strength. Middlesbrough couldn't handle what Swansea brought to the table.
Who's the young boy who plays on the right for Swansea? Right in midfield. Can't think of his name. Grimes, is it? Maybe Grimes, I don't know.
Byers,
that's it.
Byers.
Very, very, very good player. Yeah. And he was, I thought, again, outstanding. Really good. Yeah. Never let it be said that I don't give Swansea City credit when they deserve it. And I thought they deserved it. And let's not forget, they were on
5 minutes. I've just praised them for the last 5 minutes. So, yeah, well, exactly that. You know what I mean? They were there for the taking for me, and I was really looking forward to Middlesbrough going down there and giving them a really tough game. Middlesbrough going there in confidence. Swansea had no confidence. Just shows what happens at the minute in the Championship. Brutal. Yeah,
and I think it's hard to get out of those bad runs in the Championship. So to play that well against a Middlesbrough team who've had a good result recently, it's a good performance.
Yeah, very good.
So next up we got Leeds 3, Cardiff City 3.
Wow. Well. I'm not going to start with the way that I wanted to start. Leeds were absolutely electric. First half, I'll say, but the first 10 minutes, wave after wave after wave of attack. You know what I mean? Cardiff just couldn't live with what was going on. Obviously, the first goal goes in. Joe Bennett was very, very, very fortunate he didn't give a penalty away for me. In the first half as well, it was just constant. You know what I mean? The first 2 goals in the first 8 minutes. You know what I mean? Your game plan just goes out the window. Neil Harris must have been stood there thinking, "What on earth's going on?" But goals change games, and I think that might have been a game changer for me. That if Joe had given a penalty away, for me, I thought that it was more of a penalty than it was in the second half. For Etheridge giving a penalty away, I thought that was pretty soft. He's going away from the goal. You know what I mean? I thought it was a poor decision from Joe to try and win the ball, but you know what I mean? It did look like he won the ball, but then slow motion camera from me didn't get anywhere near it. And,
no.
You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I think you got away with a fortunate one there. But Si, what can we say about the character shown by Cardiff? You go 3-0 down against Leeds United. Middlesbrough played there, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Got walloped 3-4-0. You know what I mean? It was wave after wave of attack. And then all of a sudden, Leeds bottled the game, bottled what was going on, the atmosphere. You know what I mean? Circumstances, what happened in the game. Welcome Lee Tomlin. Lee Tomlin comes into the game, scores an absolute worldie of a finish.
Great goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, great goal. The ball from Joe Bennett for Morrison's header was absolutely fantastic. We're on about set pieces, we're on about crosses in the box with quality, not just lofted in. And then the ball through from Lee Tomlin to Gratzel was just out of this world. You know, to flick the ball in an area to run onto for a centre forward, an absolute dream. I'd have loved balls like that. It was just absolutely fantastic. And then the game wasn't finished. Obviously, at 3-2, Morrison gets himself sent off, so Cardiff still get the equaliser with 10 men. And then Leeds probably still should have won the game.
Yeah,
with probably the easiest chance that they had in the game for me. That was a great save, but you know what I mean. You've got to put those chances in, and you know what I mean. We're on about Brentford misses chances. We're on about Nketiah misses chances, and Leeds missed too many chances. But they should have won the game because they're 3-0 up. But you get a chance like that in the last minute, you've got to take it. And it's a great save. Give Etheridge credit. You know, he's let 3 goals in. His confidence in me had been shot to pieces, but he still had a huge part to play in the game and kept the football club in it. And you know what I mean, that the supporters all have gone back to South Wales with absolute huge smiles on faces. It felt like a win, and the changing room will have felt the same. And Neil Harris has got to take credit for what he's instilled in those players, because he's got a never say die attitude. The players aren't giving up, and long may that continue, because to go to Leeds United to hold and score 3 goals is great, but also the worrying part is how bad they've defended all year, how bad the defending is continuing. You know what I mean? It could have been a lot worse, but thankfully we came unscathed and took away a point.
Yeah, look, I'll start with Leeds. For me, I thought for the first hour they were sensational. Helder Costa was excellent. I thought Patrick Bamford was really good. Cardiff just couldn't live with his pace and his movement off the ball. He just kept losing the two centre halves, Morrison and who was the other one? Nelson, I think it was. Well, whoever they just kept losing him. He just was running off the back of them or running in the channel, and they just could not keep up with him at all. Leeds had 25 shots in the game. Cardiff had 10. It's not the first time that Leeds have had this issue of missing chances. And this game should have been put to bed within an hour, half-time, whatever you want to say. And like I say, Bamford and Costa in particular, Glick, I'm running out of superlatives to describe the way he just controls the games and runs the ball and slips in the strikers. But it's not the first time that Cardiff under Neil Harris have been 2 goals or more down with 20 minutes to go and got something out of the game. Yeah. Whereas at the start of the season, Cardiff were not doing that. Cardiff, if they went down, they were kind of losing, and that was it, which is a good sign. But defensively, we are all over the place.
That's concerning, Silo, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I thought that we'd sorted these things out. We'd eradicated them. You know what I mean? We'd kept a couple of clean sheets and gone back to probably a Neil Warnock style of play. But saying that though, what would you rather watch? Would you rather watch expansive football and attacking football and scoring goals and letting some goals in, like the Kevin Keegan sort of way of playing? Or would you rather see us getting over the line, winning 1-0? It's finding that fine balance of what you're happy with watching and what you're happy with. You know what I mean? So it's
we weren't going to see a backheel volley flick from Lee Tomlin in the number 10 role under Warnock, wheel.
No chance. No chance.
We've been banging a drum for Tomlin to play in the number 10 role behind Glatzel all season, and then lo and behold, you stick Tomlin in number 10. He scores. I got to say, because of the flick, his goal, I think, didn't get as much credit as it deserved, because the flick came and obviously set up the equaliser. But the goal was exceptional. The awareness to not go for power and just try and get it through the crowd, to just loft it over everyone, I thought was superb vision. I think he's out for the next game, which is a massive blow for Cardiff, because
it will be.
They haven't really got another number 10.
No.
I wonder whether Harris might try either one of the strikers there, or like a Mendes Lang or someone like one of the wingers in that hole. But I don't know, because Tomlin's just so different. And we said right at the start of the season, is he, as a championship player, he could be the best championship player available. He's so good, is Tomlin, when he's fit and he's motivated.
He's that good size. The thing is, he's got everything, and with him bringing goals to his game now, it just makes things. It just puts more value on him. You know what I mean? He's always got the assists, because he's that kind of player. But to bring goals to your game as well, and not just goals. You know what I mean? The way, the vision on Saturday to lob that over. You know what I mean? To have the awareness to, you know what I mean, to not panic, to not rush it. You're 3-0 down. You know what I mean? It was an ideal opportunity just to lash at something and just hope for the best. But no, loft it over, put it in the top corner, put it back where it's come from, and then go and celebrate in the right way. Get the ball, go start again, go and make things happen, because we've got our tails up now. You know what I mean? And he knows he's got all the ability in the world. He's got abundance of ability, and it'll be a big miss. But at the same time, he should, for me, when fit, when playing, should be first name on that team sheet at the minute.
I thought Glatzel looked a lot better. He looked sharp and he looked dangerous.
Yeah.
There's still work to be done.
if you're getting balls put in the right area, you're going to thrive on it. So
I think I tweeted you actually not long after the game and said, Glatzel, if you look at all his goals from in Germany, they all come from through balls, crosses, balls in the box. And we just weren't giving him the ball in the right areas.
Yeah.
Like if you remember the Swansea game, he was picking it up, in between halfway in the area with his back to goal. And it's like, that's not where you're going to get the best out of him. That's not what his strengths are. So you've got to play to their strengths. So I know we disagree on the sending off, but just before that, I just wanted to say, like, Glatzel's finish, I think, was excellent. And
lovely.
It's
Lovely.
3-2, 80-something minute. Tomlin's flicked it through with the back heel. He's in the area. He's quite close to the goal as well, which can sometimes bring its own set of problems because you feel like you're losing space, don't you? And he just kept his composure and he just waited and then just slotted it past the keeper. I thought it was a superb finish under pressure.
I mean, he could have panicked. He could have panicked. You know what I mean? It was harder to score. The keeper was rushing out. The angle's getting close, and it was just a depth finish. It was lovely, neat and tidy finish, and nice for him to be the hero because obviously he hasn't played a lot of football and he hasn't got the rewards that I think we all wanted him to have at the start of the season. So hopefully, we said this, centre forwards go on runs of goals, and hopefully this can kickstart him over Christmas with a couple of goals. Hopefully. Yeah,
Leeds just should have won the game. Whether it's from being 3-0 up or even the chance after they Cardiff equalised.
Yeah,
they should be doing that. Just lastly, Morrison's sending off.
Yeah, we've got a different opinion. Reckless, yes, but yellow card. It's a yellow card all day long. And for me, I think if you appealed this, I think you'd get rescinded to a yellow because the referee was it 2-footed? No. Was it 2 feet off the floor? No. It was very reckless. Of course, it was. Was it dangerous? I don't think it was. I don't think it was. I think you know what I mean. He's took him quite. He's put him quite high in the air, and it's a bad one. Of course, it is. But it's like a frustrated tackle. You see them week in, week out, and you know what I mean. There's some tackles which don't get a red card, which sometimes is beyond me. And I felt really sorry for him there because I think you can see within his face that I don't think he thought he deserved it.
Yeah, I just thought I got to be consistent, whether it's Cardiff players or other players, and I've criticised a lot of players over this season for reckless challenges when there was no need to be reckless. He should have just seen it out, and he kind of rush of blood. And I'm not like 100% sure it's a red card, but I can see why it was a red card. So yeah, it's one of those things, I suppose. You know what is dangerous though, and that is his moustache.
All right, that was a red card on it by itself.
What is going on with that?
Yeah, if he did it obviously for Movember, which is fine. He did that for
it's not November no more.
Yeah. Well, I know. I think that's for me. It's unexcusable now. Unexcusable.
It's an interesting choice, I gotta say.
Yeah, I can't comment. To be fair, I couldn't. It took me 40 years to go this.
It's impressive. Let's say that. Yeah. Next up, Barnsley 5, QPR 3. What a game!
Well, Si, we've been beating the Barnsley drum for probably all season. This was going to happen. This was going to happen to somebody, and they create chances like no other team in the Championship. You know what I mean? But they just don't take them. On Saturday they did. And to be fair, QPR scored goals as well. So you know what I mean? If there was going to be a game with loads of goals, and it was always going to be this one. And I thought Barnsley they started off excellently. Chaplin scored a very good goal, and to be fair, I thought he was absolutely outstanding throughout. Got a well taken hat trick. But I was still impressed with QPR that even the way that the goals are going in, it was like a boxing match that they kept coming back for more. That they kept attacking themselves and creating chances, and they go and score 3 goals. And Eze didn't get on the score sheet. Naki Wells didn't get on the score sheet, and Jordan Hugill didn't get on the score sheet. So they're obviously doing something right. You know what I mean? They were obviously defensively all over the place. Set pieces were all over. People not attacking the ball when they should be. Couldn't deal with crosses. You know what I mean? They were getting caught in the counter attack. But when you're getting beat 3-1, 4-2, you've got to come out and you're going to get caught by teams who can attack. And unfortunately for them on Saturday, Barnsley caught them too many times on the counter-attack and were able to attack. And, you know what I mean, Corley Woodrow, we spoke about on a couple of occasions, scored again from a penalty spot, but I thought was excellent from set pieces. But Chaplin, for me, stole the show with his hat-trick. I thought was outstanding.
Yeah, Chaplin, I thought Jacob Brown had an absolutely outstanding game.
I thought Mowat as well. I thought Mowat set another couple of goals up, which is excellent. But no, I thought... But sorry, we've been beating the drum. This was going to happen sooner rather than later for somebody. And unfortunately for QPR, it happened to them.
Yes. Do you know what's mad? Is how many times this season have we said about Barnsley that you can't keep having to score 3 goals to draw games or not win, and then they've done that to QPR, where QPR have scored 3 and haven't won the game. You know, QPR will be very frustrated to have scored 3 goals away from home without the likes of Eze scoring, and have still come away with nothing.
I was checking my notes, Si, from our original show, start of the season, about and I was on about how many clean sheets that Barnsley kept. And Jesus wept. It's an absolute joke. Absolute joke. I've never
forgot about that. Yeah, remember.
I've never seen anything like it. That they've conceded 45 goals in 22 games. There's only Luton who've conceded 1 more on 46, but they've scored 29. They've scored 10 goals more than Middlesbrough, and the bottom of the league. Do you know what I mean? So it's football's an entertaining platform, and the fans of Barnsley are certainly getting the money's worth week in, week out, home and away.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching Barnsley, I've got to say. And the thing which gets me is they attack like Leeds attack, like in waves, and the speed that they counter-attack is just so quick and so decisive. The teams can't live with it.
Yeah, I think the problem they've got, though, Si, is it's like the Keystone Cops, that everyone goes forward. Everyone goes forward and nobody goes back, and it must be concerning. And even the 3 goals what they let in, you know, because on another day, if they don't get that 5th goal, 4-3, you're hanging on. QPR are attacking. They've got, like, I've just named 3 players there who can score goals. It's, you know what I mean? They might not win the game, and it would be so disheartening for them if they've got to score 3, 4, 5 every week. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's just frustrating, isn't it? Disappointing to lose a game and score 3 goals away from home.
Yeah.
Next up, I know you were quite eager to talk about this one. Is Brentford 1, Fulham 0.
I'm not sure what's happened to Fulham. Scotty Parker's just. You look at their team on paper, Si, and it's full of stars, full of Premier League players. You've got Ream, you've got Mawson, you've got Tom Kearney, you've got Mitrovic, you've got Calaverero, you've got Johansson, you've got Christie, you've got Byram, you've got Kamara on the bench, Knockout on the bench, Reed on the bench, Sessegnon. That team should be so far up the league, and it's just massively underachieving. You know what I mean? Look, the last 3 results. Lost against Brentford, lost against Preston North End, lost against Bristol City. You know what I mean? That team should not lose 3 games on the bounce. You know what I mean? But to be fair, they're lucky they only got beat 1-0 because they deserve to. Brentford absolutely outplayed them. You know what I mean? They play Leeds next weekend. You know what I mean? So, you know, Leeds are not going to go there and feel sorry for them. You know, and then they play Fulham, then they play Luton Town away. So it's going to be so interesting, side. But we talk about possession. People, Fulham fans on social media, hound me about possession. We have more possession in the games. I don't care. Possession means absolutely zip in a football match if you don't win it. You know what I mean? Brentford had less possession. Not much, but they had less possession. 45%. But they win the game 1-0. They had 23 shots on goal, Brentford. 23. 7 on target, 9 off target, 7 block shots. Fulham had 2 shots on goal. Do you know what I mean? So you're never going to win a football game if you're not getting the balls up to Mitrovic, the balls into Knockout, the balls to Kearney. If you're not giving them the proper service, you're never going to win a football match. It's really simple. And Brentford knocked on the door. And Bremo got a goal from a cross, from a Ollie Watkins cross. And to be fair, I thought he was excellent. I thought he led the line really well. You know what I mean? Considering the side, we spoke about the start of the season. I was concerned, and you were concerned about the lack of goals from losing their main striker to Brighton. And he's took that centre forward mantle like it's just a natural thing to do. And you know what I mean? And it'd be interesting if they go out and splash more cash in their January window, because they've took a risk this season with the amount of money they spent. But for me, they're in fourth position, and they can consolidate their playoff place over the Christmas period and over January by spending some money and pushing and kicking on. Because, you know what I mean, for me, I wouldn't like to play Brentford in the playoffs, because they've got a very good side, they're very good attacking, and they can dig in when they need to.
Yeah, it's interesting because they almost have to spend money in January, because if they do take that risk of, you know, saying we spent in the summer, we don't need any more players, the other teams are going to spend, aren't they? So it's a risk. It's a weird situation. It's almost like a risk to not spend. What I've thought has coincided with Brentford's return to form is Pontus Jansson has come back into form. At the start of the season, after his move initially, he was making a few errors. He was having some issues. I don't know whether it was just issues settling or what it was. But just watching him recently, he's looking like the player we thought he was going to be for Brentford, and the player that Leeds were going to miss.
I think he thrives, Osai, on playing people like Mitrovic. So on Saturday, he thrived in that. He loved the battle. He loved the war. He won the battle. He won the war. And Mitrovic didn't enjoy it. And you know what I mean? That sometimes with Fulham, you can't just expect him to step up to the plate all the time. You've got to back him up. You have to help him out. And I was praising Scotty Parker the other week when he played Mitrovic and Kamara, because I thought it was a masterstroke. And to put Kamara on the bench and go back to his original formation, I thought it was so you know what I mean. I praised him when he did it and they won, and he's changed it since the lost the last three. So I think maybe he might need to go back and play the two up front and put the other two wide, of knock out one wing, carry out the other wing, and just go for teams and go and try and attack. So we've seen the league. The league's there for the taking. You go and attack teams, you get joy. You sit back and you defend and you try and counter-attack. Doesn't always work. Well,
what's weird as well is Bobby Reid has come off the bench a couple of times recently, and he's looked very dangerous. And the Mitrovic thing wasn't really working against Pontus Jansson. So I feel like someone like Bobby Reid is a good choice to try and unlock, you know, something different, bit of pace, bit smaller. And I don't know, they just don't seem to fancy him as a starter. But they need to do something, because their form has dipped drastically.
Massively. You can't keep on making the same mistakes. That's what I've said about Woodgate and the Borough. That what you can't afford to do. You can't afford to keep making the same mistakes for another week, and then all of a sudden you're hanging on at the playoffs, or you're too far behind. You know what I mean? I expected the squad they've got side, they should be hanging on Leeds and West Brom's tails, because we expected those two teams to be up there, and you know what I mean. But the gap, what are they? 12 points behind Leeds.
Well, look at their form. It's
14 behind West Brom. You know what I mean? They play Leeds
3 in a row.
You play Leeds at the weekend. You know what I mean? Leeds aren't going to go to Craven Cottage without any problems at all. You know what I mean? It's going to be quite an interesting game, really, because West Brom will, Fulham have to win, because with the 3 defeats. Leeds have come off that game after a 3-goal lead slip. So I think the winners of that game is West Brom, because West Brom are, you know what I mean, they can't lose, really, can they? Because one of them's going to drop points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, the old Fulham conundrum. I hope they stick with Scott Parker, but I fear that if they drift and lose another couple, the pressure's on then. Because
if they fall out of the playoffs, I think he'll go. If they fall out of it, but you know what I mean. They've got to stay in it. They've got to stay in it. With that
squad, they should be in the top 3.
That's the same thing I've said all along, though, Si. Because if he loses his job, he's in the playoffs. You've got managers below him who are keeping their jobs. it's very, very, very cutthroat, this business and industry.
Oh yeah. Depends what your target is. Depends how much money you spend. Depends who
totally
you
agree.
play, who you're manager of, and it depends what your squad is. Because
Totally agree.
let's be honest. Fulham's squad is a top 3 Championship squad. You know, they should be in that top 3 comfortably, and they're not.
Which thinks it coincides with the next game, though. Si, you're on about teams underachieving. Bristol City, that you know what I mean. That Lee Johnson, he hasn't come out with this game smelling the roses at all, because his biggest gripe of the game is having to go at Tony Mowbray's staff about throwing the ball away. Let's be honest here, Si. In football terms, Blackburn are winning the game 1-0. They're not going to rush to get the ball back to Bristol City in any hurry.
Nope.
So and they've got every right to do it. Like Lee Johnson wouldn't either, by the way, and he's done it in the past. So because he's frustrated, because he got beat against Millwall last weekend through the week, sorry, they're getting beat again. He's upset, he's angry, he's frustrated. They created numerous opportunities. They should have scored a couple of goals. Blackburn caught him with a couple of sucker punches with a Bradley Johnson early goal, which is a very good goal, and then he dispossessed the Bristol City centre half, and then slipped through Armstrong for the second goal, which was a brilliant finish, by the way. But Tony Mowbray is working absolute wonders. We've said this, side. They seem to win every week, but they're still 9th in the league. I don't get it. Every week we say that they've won, but then they don't get any higher in the league.
I
can't work it out. There's 7 unbeaten, Si. 7 unbeaten. 7 unbeaten. Six wins and a draw. You know what I mean? In the last 10, they've lost 1 game. It's just...
How can they still... They must have been like...
They must have been bottom of the league with no points.
Because they just haven't stopped winning.
It's unbelievable. But Tony Mowbray's got to be manager of the month. He's done a great job, sterling job. And we go on about Si about the attacking players. You know what I mean? But I thought on Saturday, I thought Lenihan was absolutely outstanding. I thought the goalkeeper Walton was absolutely brilliant. You know what I mean? So credit where credit's due. That going forward, yes, brilliant, but defensively as well, they were outstanding. And he made a few changes, quite a few interesting changes. He rested Danny Graham. He rested Stuart Downing. Do you know what I mean? 2 players who've been outstanding in the last 3, 4, 5 games. So he went down a different route, and it worked out. So it just shows how strong the squad is.
Well, it's that word again that we adapt to the situation and your opponents, isn't it? Yeah. But I'll tell you who has been excellent for him, and he was excellent again on Saturday, is Lewis Holtby. And I think if you cast your mind back to the preview show, and I listed him on my free transfers as like someone should pick him up. Blackburn picked him up, and since he got fit, it took him a couple of games to get up to fitness. Superb. In no way is he a championship player.
No, I totally agree.
There's a couple of them knocking about.
I totally agree, but he's had to take 1 step back to hopefully go 2 steps forwards in his football career.
Absolutely. And I really enjoy him. Blackburn, just like.
So am I. It's just they're a joy to watch, and to be fair, they've struggled over the last couple of seasons. You know, so it hasn't been easy to be a Blackburn Rovers fan and to watch them play. But you know, I mean, he's took his time. He's recruited really well, and I think I'd be surprised if he does bring many players in the window, though, because I think he'll be content and happy with what he's got, I think.
Yeah. Ashley Williams missed a big chance as well.
He did. For
the game.
Sitter for his quality. You know what I mean? Backstick, he's got to do better there.
Yeah, he's very good in the air. You know, he scored many a goal for Wales and for Everton and Swansea. He's done very well from that sort of position. Got to score. Next up, Derby County 0. Uh-oh. You know what's coming?
I said through the week about that. That Mr. Rooney will be in charge. That 5 games without a win. Drew in the week against Sheffield Wednesday. We were lucky. They scored a very late penalty. Millwall winning again. Got to give them credit. I thought Tom Bradshaw's goal was excellent. Half volley, right in the top corner. They've just got something. There's something missing at Derby. You know what I mean? I know. Obviously, we both speak to a certain reporter quite regular, and he used the word the other day, transition, to me, and I understand it because Middlesbrough are going through the same thing. But I don't get it. And I understand the word, but I'm not buying it because...
Not for Derby, no.
No, because they've still got a good enough players on the team. They've got a good enough squad on paper. Chris Martin, done it. Wore that T-shirt. Waghorn, Lawrence. Yeah, you've Davies, Forsyth, Hamer in goal, Bogle. You know what I mean? You've got your Wayne Rooney's. You know what I mean?
Huddleston.
Huddleston, Wisdoms. You know what I mean? These players are good enough. For me, it's an excuse. It's papering over the cracks. For me, the manager is hanging on by a thread. And for me, it's only sooner rather than later that they're going to make this decision to get rid of him.
And you know who's coming in.
Oh, it's nailed on, mate. It's nailed on. It's when you said it to me originally, I didn't think it, but when you said it, it made sense then. But now it's just it's
obvious, isn't it?
It's a no-brainer now. And he's had his feet under the table now for 2 weeks. He'll start to get to know the players. He's starting to say all the right things. He'll come in, and I guarantee you results will pick up the minute he takes over.
He's probably already speaking to some players about coming in the January window.
Yeah.
That's how
Totally
sure
agree.
I am he's coming in.
Totally agree.
And let me say, it will not be the first thing that we have called early on in the season, which has come true.
No.
It's not.
I totally
We've
agree.
also got a few things wrong, but,
Yeah.
can't be right all the time.
Hey, we're all humans, aren't we?
That's it, yeah. We all, now and
All
again,
human.
we just got to give other people a chance by getting things wrong.
The things we say wrong, you know what I mean, it's just trying to
Testing people.
confuse people. You know what I mean? We knew Preston were going to win the league. Yeah, we knew it.
Of course we did. This was silly. I'm not buying that transition for Derby. They've been top 6, 7 for God knows how many seasons in a row.
Forever.
Yeah, and they bottle it every year, and it's just the way the championship works now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But,
put it this way, Si, right? If they notoriously they bottle it around February, March time.
yeah.
If they bottle it in February and March, they're going to get relegated. Because if they bottle it then,
They're struggling.
Forget your transition. What you transition into League One. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen because you know what I mean. They're only 5 points ahead of Middlesbrough. You know what I mean? They're only 8 points above Stoke City in the relegation. You know what I mean? If you have a bad run,
you could be in trouble.
You're in trouble, aren't you? So
because they are having a few issues, aren't they? They're just not where they have been.
No,
and there's no real excuse other than the new manager because they've got a good enough squad. They've got good enough players.
Totally agree.
Get on with it.
There's no excuse, sir. No excuse whatsoever for me.
Wazza, new Derby manager.
Yeah.
So next up was Forest 0, Sheffield Wednesday 4.
Wow. Well, I watched Forest in the week against Middlesbrough, and they didn't really set me on. Didn't really get me excited. They didn't really do what I've seen in previous games, and we've raved about Stephen Fletcher, but Jordan Rhodes, wow, step up
we
to the
mentioned
table,
him last week.
We did mention him because we mentioned that how good he is and that he can step up to the plate. He can come and score goals, but I didn't expect him to come and step up that quickly and score the perfect hat trick within 37 minutes. And side, let's make no bones. If you give any side a 4-0 lead at half time, you've got absolutely no chance. But if you give a team like Sheffield Wednesday a 4-0 lead at half time, you've got absolutely no chance because Gary Monk has turned that fortune and turned that football club around. And if he can get Fletcher and Rhodes firing on all cylinders, Adam Reach on one wing, Harris on the other wing, they could be the team which wins that playoffs by a country mile because it's just, you know what I mean, they blew them away. And Nottingham Forest at home have a good side and you know what I mean, to keep a clean sheet, again, you know what I mean, I thought defensively they look pretty strong and grabbing and Amiobi and a Carvalho, they're all good attacking players, but didn't really cause many problems at all.
Yeah, they've been off the boil last couple of games, Forest, going forward. They just haven't looked the same threat that they were a few weeks ago.
But since Cardiff did them, Cardiff beat them obviously 1-0. It was a Friday night game against Millwall where Millwall scored a late goal. Middlesbrough got a point against them late again, and then Sheffield Wednesday blew them away.
And they just haven't seemed to be able to get that form back. But Sheffield Wednesday, I do think you're right. If they could get Rhodes and Fletcher both firing, they could go. I think they could go up automatic. I think they could be the one to make that late run, which is normally, there's always one team which makes like a late run, whether it's to get into the playoffs or to go for automatics or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I think that they could challenge the Leeds and West Broms. That's how good they are.
I totally agree, Si. I totally agree. And to be fair, Gary Mumps, he'd worked wonders. You know what I mean? It was a question mark to who would get that job, and we were fighting the drum for Lee Bullen to get the job, and you know what I mean. But they took the time. They made the right decision, and look where they are now.
Yeah, indeed. I think also a big thing for them is keeping Adam Reach fit.
Yeah,
because he's a man.
Yeah,
which everything flows through.
Yeah, he's technically very good. He's an ex-Borough player. I used to watch him all the time. Yeah, he's got a sweet left foot, and the way they do it, he cuts in, he goes down the line. He's very talented young lad.
Indeed. Next up, Stoke Reading, which finished 0-0.
Yeah, the only disappointing game of the weekend with no goals, and to be fair, I was disappointed with Reading. You know what I mean? Defensively, they look pretty strong, but Stoke give it a real go, but just lacked real quality. They're just missing goals. They're just missing someone who's got that confidence to put the ball in the back of the net, and they really needed it because of the way that the results went at the weekend. That it would have obviously put them ahead of Luton and got them out of the bottom three, and obviously would have clawed the gap back on Reading. But you know what I mean? They need to pick results up fast side, because we said about the change of manager, and will it change fortunes? And I believe it has. I believe that they've picked up a little bit, but they've obviously got some interesting games coming up. To play Middlesbrough next weekend, which is a massive game for both teams. Then they play Sheffield Wednesday at home, they play Fulham away, and then Huddersfield away. You know what I mean? So the next 4 games are over the Christmas period are massive, and I'd say they probably need to pick up. I'd say at least 6 points out of those 4 games, minimum of 6 points out of those 4 games, and if that means 6 points, then that means they're going to beat Middlesbrough at the weekend, and you know what I mean. But on paper, they've got the players to do it, Si. But paper's a wonderful thing, but they're not doing it on the pitch, unfortunately. It's not all working together all of the time, and it must be so frustrating for the manager, because you know what I mean. We questioned them defensively. We questioned Butland, couldn't keep a clean sheet, couldn't stop goals going in. They're defensively looking a little bit better. That's the second clean sheet in 2 games, but they need goals and to win games, unfortunately.
At what point do we, as people, football fans, whatever you want to say, say that maybe it's not the managers which is the problem at Stoke City?
Yep.
Because they just keep sacking managers, but the players they have a couple of games when the new manager comes in where you think, here we go. And then back to yes, they look much better defensively. That's not difficult, though, because they were bad. But they still don't look good, Yeah. With the team they've got, the players they've got, they should be beating Reading at home comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And they're underachieving side, Sam Vokes, Tom Ince. You know what I mean? That McLean.
Their best chance was 25 yards out from Tom Ince.
Yeah. They're not creating chances, and you know what I mean. You can't expect Joe Allen to step up and do it. It's just, you know what I mean. People have got to do the jobs. Every player on that pitch has got to do your individual job.
Yeah, spot on. Next up, Wigan 1, Huddersfield 1.
Interesting one. Poor mistake by the Huddersfield goalkeeper for Josh Windas's goal, just on the stroke of half time. You can't, you know what I mean, we've been very critical on goalkeepers, and rightly so when they make a mistake, but you know what I mean, just before half time, you can't afford to make those kind of mistakes. You know what I mean? It's not, there was no excuse behind the side. It wasn't even rushed. You know what I mean? So there's no mistake by it. It was a terrible mistake, but credit to Huddersfield. You know what I mean? To go in at half time in I'd call it a local derby, because there's not much between Wigan and Huddersfield, and to grab themselves back in the game was excellent. And you know what I mean, I don't think they played great. I don't think both teams played particularly well, but I think Mr. Cowley got his point across at half time and grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, and Grant got the equaliser. About 20 minutes to go. But I tell you one player I do like in the Huddersfield time, Chalobah. I think he's outstanding.
Very
I know
good,
that.
isn't he?
Yeah, he does his job. Him and Hoggins centre midfield. Just do the stuff that people don't enjoy doing and rat around, get on the ball in dangerous areas and make things happen, and they get them going. And you know what I mean. And it's they're still not out of trouble side. You know what I mean. Both of them. You know what I mean. Both of them, because there's still a long way to go for both teams to get this right. But at the same time, I do fancy Huddersfield to climb clear of it, because I just think they've got enough quality and they've got a manager in place who's experienced enough now to take pressure on his shoulders and to get the football club out of it.
Yeah, and the players are playing for him, which is the main.
That's for sure.
Thing,
that's for sure. Yeah.
Coming out of the relegation, Wigan are a weird one for me. You just don't know what's going to turn up each week.
No. So we don't know who's going to play side. You know what I mean? You look at the first game of the season against Cardiff. Josh Windass on fire. Hasn't hardly played any games this season because of injury, out of form. And you know what I mean? When he's on, he was superb last year for Rangers. So you know what I mean? When they need him fit, they need him playing. He's no good on the bench. He's no good in the stand. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, he's not played enough games to make an impact. And it's been a frustrating time to be a Wigan fan, because they're just not good enough at the minute.
No. Next up, finally, I think it is Charlton 2-2.
I felt so sorry for Lee Boyer, but thing is also you can't sit back and invite pressure. You know what I mean? The way the game went, you know what I mean? It was a very good game. I loved it. To be fair, it was another excellent pick by Sky to pick a couple of sides who probably just kept attacking. I thought Darren Pratley was superb throughout. Got man of the match for Sky. I thought it was excellent. Jared Bowen again got a goal. I thought it was a very, very good finish. But what's the saying? You're at your worst when you score, and that's what happened to Hull. Sarr goes and puts Charlton ahead, and then for me, once that goal went on and they brought Lyle Taylor on, they just sat and didn't give Taylor the balls that he needed where he wanted them. They didn't put the ball over the top. They just sat really deep and invited pressure in. And you know what I mean? They were putting crosses in the box, and then all of a sudden, up popped Lewis Potter with a header. To be fair, I'm very disappointed he didn't get the goal, because I know it hit the post and hit the goalkeeper went in, but you know what I mean? He deserved the goal. And I watched his interview after the game, and you know what I mean? He was so proud to have scored his first goal, and then not to get it must just be heartbreaking for him.
Yeah, it reminds me of the other week when they took that goal off. Was it Morrison? No, who was it? One of the Cardiff central defenders, and it was his 50th career goal.
Aidan Flint.
Aidan Flint, that's right, and he doesn't score many. And it's like, come on, it was clearly his goal. Don't take the goal off him.
You can't do it. Side's rubbish. It's not fair. It's not fair on these players. You know.
Does it really matter in the grand scheme of things if you give it as an own goal or a player goal as the striker's goal? Really,
does the goalkeeper want it? Does the goalkeeper really want it, Si?
Does it matter to the FA that they have to change it and take away someone's debut goal or their first goal and stuff?
It's kids stuff.
But Charlton, I feel sorry. Bowie looked just so dejected. His quote was, "My head's not in a good place at the moment. What do you say? Where'd you start?" And it's not a case of like his players are not playing for him. They are. He's just a combination of injuries, bad luck, and maybe a bit of an inexperience at this level. Is just costing him a bit at the moment. But yeah, you can't sit back in the Championship. You just can't.
No. You've got to go for the next goal, Si, and you know what I mean? I did feel really sorry for him, but at the same time, he's learning, and he's learnt the hard way on Friday night, and you know, I'm sure he won't make that mistake again, because for me, I thought Bond was doing okay. He was holding the ball up, you know what I mean? So maybe he's you play Bond and Lyle Taylor, you know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes you just got to, because things like that would have probably been the last thing what Hull were expecting, but it keeps them back and pins them back and makes them not attack, because they were attacking in droves and you know what I mean, putting long crosses in the box, free kicks in the box, and punting balls in the box, and you're sitting ducks then, and you're inviting pressure, and all of a sudden
change it up.
Can't feel sorry for them, can you?
No, you've got to change it up and adapt. And we've given Bowie a lot of credit for doing that throughout the season, changing it up and adapting to the situation. Maybe he didn't this week, and that's perhaps cost him. When he brought Lyle Taylor on, I thought, he's going to go for that goal.
Yeah.
Just try and kill the game, the game off that way. He didn't.
But at the same time size, he's letting a lot of goals in. You know what I mean? Go back to the Cardiff game.
Yeah.
Two goals up. You know what I mean? And you can't be ahead all of the time and then not hold on. You know what I mean? You've got to either be good enough to shut up shop. If that's what your tactic is, you've got to be good enough to do it, or you've got to keep going the way you're going.
Yeah, you've got to be strong enough mentally, haven't you?
Yeah.
To either keep the clean sheet or go.
Yeah.
Okay, so then moving on, we'll go for our 2 for 2. Myself and Andy picked 2 big performances, moments or players, and 2 nightmares for the weekend. So I think we will start with the positives today. Let's go with the ups. Who you got first, mate?
I've got Jude Bellingham for Birmingham. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. 17 years old, you know what I mean, just turned. And do you know what? He plays like a 29, 30-year-old. He's so composed, and you stick him in there in a derby game against the best side in the league, and he makes things tick. He pulls the strings, sets goals up, puts through balls through, and he's just a joy to watch. And you know what I mean? We keep saying it. Stay there, son. Enjoy your football.
Get
game
100
over.
Games under your belt
Game
by
over.
the time you're 20.
And then move on. Because it's not like he's not earning money. He'll be earning good money now. So just enjoy it while it's there and playing for your hometown club, and that's it.
Smack bang. That's what I think. So I went for Jordan Rhodes. He's waited 20 months to get his Sheffield Wednesday goals. We mentioned him last week for his record, and his kind of recent appearances have looked a little bit better. And then, wow, this week was another level. It was, perfect hat trick. Overhead kick to finish it off was superb.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to announce, maybe that he's back to full fitness, back to full form, and superb all around.
Yeah. You
go next, mate.
I've gone for Connor Chaplin for his hat trick against QPR, because I just, you know what I mean. He had a fantastic afternoon. He scored 3 goals, 3 very well taken goals. You know what I mean. And he's had a good couple of weeks. His 6th goal in 5 games. So you know what I mean. He's causing problems over the course of the weeks. But to score a hat trick in a game, he's got to be rewarded. So yeah, Connor got my second up.
Yeah, so my second up was Lee Tomlin. We've been begging for him to play number 10 for Cardiff behind Glatzel all season. We finally really got the two of them together, and Tomlin dragged Cardiff back into that game with just like a superb goal, even better flick that if Messi did it, we were near the end of it.
Yeah.
And also, he set Glatzel on his way, and Glatzel finished well. But I just think the way Tomlin has got himself in shape and focused this season deserves a lot of respect and admiration for that, because he's got his head down and he's doing the right things, and now
totally agree.
Now he's starting to get the reward. Because we always said he needed a run of games to get really back up to form, and he just wasn't really getting that under Warnock. Harris has been playing him, and he's got the capabilities to be, like we said earlier, one of the best players in the Championship. He's that good. So
revitalised, and he deserves all applauded side. So you know what I mean. I think, and I hope they continue, because we want to be excited by these kind of players.
Spot on, mate. So who you got for your first down?
I've gone for Grabara, so the Huddersfield goalkeeper, for his error against Wigan for Josh Windas's goal, and you know what I mean. It was probably the more of the timing than anything. You know what I mean, that you can't afford to make a mistake. Of course you can, but at that time of the game, in a big game as well, because you know what I mean. I do believe if he hadn't made that, Huddersfield going at half time and the kick on second half to go win the game, so it's had a big impact on Huddersfield shooting up that league.
Yeah, absolutely. I for my downs, I nearly just put Shaw Morrison's task twice, but I didn't. I went for Leeds for being 3-0 up after an hour, missing loads of chances, and then just completely capitulating in the last 20 minutes or half hour. And look, it's not the first time we've talked about Leeds missing chances. It's been an ongoing thing on and off since the start of the season. And, from Leeds' point of view, I just hope it doesn't end up costing them, because you've got to take your chances. And there was, there was one or two which were gilt-edged, shall we say.
Yeah, totally agree. Great show.
Who have you got for your second one, mate?
My second come as a pair. So I've gone for Marcus Brown and Paddy McNair for letting down the whole of Middlesbrough on Saturday afternoon.
So I'm linked to that, but I've gone for Middlesbrough as a club stroke Jonathan Woodgate, whoever makes the decision for appealing the Paddy McNair one particularly, but the sendings off, because not only should they not be appealed because they were red cards.
It's ridiculous.
But the fact that you're going to lose McNair, who's arguably been your best player all season.
Yeah, easily.
For some big games is...
Easily. Not just that side. He's probably been one of the best players in the Championship. So, he's been that good. So it's credit where credit's due. So, yeah. I get people don't want to lose your players, but you have to be realistic at the same time. You made a decision.
You've got to be clever, haven't you?
Lay in your bed. Lie in your bed. Yep.
Think about what you're doing.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll finish before we get to the fake Geordie bingo lingo. We'll do some questions.
Si, you told me to remind you something, but I can't remember what you told me to remind you.
Me neither. The Everton boy, Keane.
Yeah, Keane.
I felt really sorry for him. He don't big Duncan, throw him on like 70 odd minutes, then took him off at 82 or 83 minutes, and you could see he was distraught. And from what I read, like what Everton fans were saying, he is lacking in confidence anyway. He's not been having the best of times. He's I think he's 19.
Yeah.
And what was I just thought, well, it is what it is. But then his excuse afterwards was he needed to waste time. Well, there's 10 other players on the pitch. He didn't need to embarrass the boy, the youngster who's already bereft of confidence. Yeah,
I can't relate to it, Si. It's never happened to me. The closest thing what happened to me is we played a home game on the Wednesday, and one of our lads got sent off after 2 minutes. I was a defender, so he brought me off. The gaffer brought me off and brought a defender on, which I'm fine about. And then we played Saturday, and after 7 minutes, the same thing happened again. The defender got sent off, and he brought me off again. And I was absolutely distraught. That it happened to me twice. So, but it is what it is. Yeah, the manager makes the decision sometimes for the best of the football club, and sometimes you get it depends what's been said by I know that the gaffer put his arm on me and had a good chat with me, so it made me feel $1 million. So it just depends what Duncan Ferguson's saying in house to Keane.
Yeah, he blanked him, didn't he, as he come off, which I don't think helped.
Which wasn't nice. Wasn't nice, no.
Yeah, you'd have liked it, especially with a young player. You'd have liked to have seen him kind of.
I'll just put your arm on him and give him a cuddle. Tell him that I'll explain soon. Let me finish this game. You know what I mean? It's a big game, big result, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So. That was what I was going to bring up in the any other business, but I forgot. So you can send questions for Andy every week to the facebook.com/AceCastNation or Twitter @AceCast_Nation using the hashtag AceNationArmy, or you can email acenetworkcontact@gmail.com. So Peaches says, Andy, sorry for missing a couple of weeks of word association. Here are some. So English isn't the first language. But here we go. So Peaches, word association. First word that comes to your head. First person that comes to your head. Biggest ego.
Roy Keane.
Dull.
Dull.
It's a bit harsh.
Neil Alexander.
Worst voice.
Leo Fortune West.
He comes up a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's funny though, but he had the squeakiest worst voice ever.
Passionate.
James Collins.
Laziest.
Lazy. Jason Bourne.
Good
He won't
player.
like. Oh yeah, a magician.
Quality player.
A magician.
But,
Still lazy.
wasn't known for his work rate, shall we say.
No, was he not? Lazy little man.
Johnny Wishbone wants to know, why do United play incredible versus the big teams, then shite teams, and then shite against teams that are absolutely wank?
What's that? Say how many swear words you could get in a sentence?
I know, I was going to say, Jesus, Johnny, you're having a bad day, mate, you?
I think it's. I'll be honest. I think it's arrogance from the manager, and I think the manager's got to take the brunt of it, and the manager gets your team prepared, ready for a game. And for me, if you're playing Norwich City or you're playing Man City, there's no difference.
Yeah,
it's still a huge game of football, and the same things on offer is 3 points. And when you see the Liverpool team, Liverpool go into every single game, doesn't matter who they're playing, with the same mentality, with the same effort, with the same enthusiasm, with the same passion, and the same team. I see Man United going into games in Europe, showing teams zero respect, playing all the kids. I see them doing the same thing in sometimes in the Premier League, and you know what I mean? It's the inconsistency. Liverpool go in every single game with the best possible team they can put out. Apart from on Wednesday night, by the way, because whenever they play Villa, apparently the rumour I'm hearing is they've gone over to Qatar or wherever they've gone, haven't they? And it's going to be the weakest team that they've ever put out. Apparently, it's going to be the kids because it's the Carling Cup against. So cut what I've just said there about Liverpool playing the best team every time they play.
Okay, so he also asks, should Man United stick with OGS or should they bring in Pochettino?
I think he's been very fortunate that he's turned the fortunes around against Man City, Spurs, etc. But then watching the game on Sunday again, it was lifeless again against a lesser side. So I can understand people's frustrations because what's the point in going beating Tottenham and then pulling in a lacklustre display against Everton? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yes, it's just so disjointed, and it's like so. They just can't seem to get any flow together, and they're relying on kids, just to dig them out of a loss to Everton. So, yeah, not having him. Never. I didn't have him when he was Cardiff manager, and I'm not.
No. There's history, isn't there, as well? Yeah, there's history as well. He hasn't helped himself though with his team selection zone. He's not. You know what I mean? And this is the thing I've got a problem with about people who have are heroes at the football clubs. He's a hero at Man United for the way that he played and the trophies he won and how he did it. But if he's not careful, he's going to lose that hero status if he ends up ruining the football club. So you know what I mean. He's got a big job ahead of him.
Indeed. Gaz asked us to talk about the West Ham managerial job because I don't think he was very impressed that there's talk of Pochettino being not Pochettino. What's his name? Manuel
Pellegrini,
that's the one. Being sacked, and Gaz sent me the list of potential shortlist, apparently, which is West Ham's shortlist, which is David Moyes, Tony Pulis, and I think someone else. And to say he was not impressed was being an understatement.
I think my face says it all, mate. And one thing I will say about that, we had a conversation, didn't we? The grass isn't always greener. Be careful what you wish for. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean, I can fully understand it if teams get relegated. You know what I mean? West Ham, they hit and miss. 1 week they'll win, then next week they'll lose. They'll beat a good side, they'll lose. You know what I mean? Like I thought Monday night against Arsenal, they were bang average. They go and beat Southampton on Saturday. So you just don't know what West Ham's turning up, and you know what I mean. But be careful what you wish for because there's some bang average managers out there who are looking for a job.
Yeah,
who can talk the talk, by the way, and get a job.
Yeah, Allardyce was the third choice. So the three choices to replace Pellegrini were Allardyce, Tony Pulis, and David Moyes.
God, get them all in. Get them all in at once.
As a
See if they
team.
can all do it. Yeah, management team.
What a team that would be.
Yeah, what we on? Dumb and dumber.
Oh dear.
Saying that though, I play for Big Sam. And I like Sam, to be fair. But
Yeah,
he let himself down a little bit with what happened at England. But
yeah, and I think you could feel his disappointment afterwards, couldn't you? Because that was the job for him.
yeah, out of those three, Sam would be my ideal choice to go there and give it a go. But I don't know if he's been out of the game too long now to pick up a Premier League job after being England manager.
He was always quite like hot on the technology and stuff, wasn't he?
He was the first person to do it.
Like he's painted as like a dinosaur in terms of the football he plays, but actually being up with the latest technology and methods.
I played with him I played for him 19 years ago, and 19 years ago he had sports science in place. He had there you go. He had us watching players, watching games, seeing how far he run. His fitness, his training methods were far above, and this was in the Championship, by the way. And he was far above Middlesbrough in the Premier League with his ideas. So he was far above that's why he did really well when he got promoted. He knew exactly what he was expecting and what he needed to do. So
interesting. Okay, let's finish off with some fake Geordie bingo lingo.
You spoke, Si, about comedians at the start. Well,
I did.
You did. In Middlesbrough, we've got a few. We've got a few good ones. We've got a few bad ones as well, by the way. So I'm going to... There's one who's not everyone's cup of tea, who is Chubby Brown. So Chubby's from Middlesbrough. He's not everyone's cup of tea. I like a bit of Chubby. I've known a lot of people who can't get him, but he's ruthless. But we've got also the famous and the one and only Bob Mortimer. Obviously, Bob's from Ackland, from Middlesbrough. So, you know what I mean? So a couple of comedians have gone forward this week to bring a bit of humour. Yeah, always educate me. Every day is a school day. Every day is a school day.
Absolutely, mate. I'm going to tell you, by the time I come to Middlesbrough in 2020, I am going to be like just fitting all in like a local.
Mate, you'll be more of a local than I will be.
What I need to know what to wear now. I think that's the next step.
Well, you're already halfway there. Look.
There we go. See,
hooligans getting everywhere, Si, apparently.
It was funny. He is funny. Right. You can find Andy.
That was a joke, by the way.
Yeah, indeed, it's a joke. The person who knows. You can find Andy on Twitter at Andy Campbell 32. You can find me at ACEcast_nation. Facebook.com/ACEcastNation. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the bell so you get notified every time we upload a show. We have loads of shows. Normally it's every three times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. However, today is the first day of the 10 days of ACEcast, where we will release a new show every day for 10 days. So please check them out, because we've got some big names on there and some really interesting shows. So check them out. Drop a comment, give this video a thumbs up, say hello, and send Andy some questions next week as well, because he loves them.
Yep.
Andy,
keep coming.
Thank you for your time, my friend.
My pleasure. Loved it again, mate. Loving it.
It's just a good laugh.
Loving it.
Right. So we'll be back next week on Tuesday.
Yeah, Christmas Eve.
Maybe we'll wear Santa hats.
Oh, yeah.
Santa hats.
I've got
presents. One. It'll be good. Thanks for joining us, guys. Andy, see you next week, buddy.
See you, mate. Top man.
Still can't get to Bristol.